I'm going to say something absolutely bonkers.
Okay.
Blasphemy, okay? This smells, at first, like Jack Daniel's honey.
He just compared Blantons to Jack Daniel's honey. Sequel, Top Shelf, brings to you the, not unicorns, but pretty darn close. They're so sought after.
Yeah.
And is this family right here, this little mama, papa, baby bear kind of thing. And I don't know which one's which, but this little trio here has been one of the most like empty shelf sections of.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Because the Buffalo Trace, not too rare. I feel like you can go
yes.
and get this pretty regularly, at least in Tennessee and probably the Kentucky area. This is probably everywhere, right?
Yep.
This is the one that like the dads and the uncles buy. They're like, I've heard it's good.
Yep.
They keep it on the shelf, right? So this one you can mostly find.
Yes.
We moved to the Blantons, and it's like, yeah, good luck.
Yeah, you have to be there the day the box arrives.
The day the box arrives, you got to ask them to hold it. You might have to put a down payment, if you're your firstborn. It gets crazy.
Yeah. So before we get into that, I'll tell you just a very snippet story on this bottle. I actually went to my local shop on the day. I knew it was the day because I had done a little bit of digging. I found out the day that the Buffalo shipment was going to arrive, and so they brought out, the truck arrived around noon. They start bringing out, and there's about 50 people standing around waiting for these boxes to come out. I love the story.
You could have just, and there I was. 50 people deep.
50 people surrounding me. I was at the front of the line because I got there early knowing that was like, all I wanted was a bottle of Eagle Rare. Yeah. But the story is they brought out the boxes of Buffalo first. There were probably, 15 boxes of that. It's a good shipment. Nobody moved. Nobody moved.
They're like,
because they didn't want it.
Yeah.
And then they brought out the Eagle Rare, and then they brought out the Weller, and still nobody really moved. What they were waiting for, everyone was waiting for this.
And it's kind of crazy because to me, and mind you guys, we are normal guys, average. We don't have any exclusive deals with anyone. We're not getting the first selection of anything unless we go fight for it, right? So we're kind of like you, hopefully, out there watching us, but it surprises me with the Blantons. The Blantons is like the quintessential, look at this bottle. People are just enamored with this bottle.
It's kind of the allure behind it. It showed up on John Wick twice.
Yeah, okay.
So it's got
some promenade.
It's got some promenade to it. It's in
a
few different movies and a few different spots.
I dig this grenade bottle. Looks like a hand grenade. It's awesome. Let's just talk about the cork real quick. I mean, that little staple on top.
They want you to collect all of them because each one has a letter for the different names.
I see posts all the time on social like, finally completed my collection. I get it, man. You are into it, especially you've probably stabbed a couple of people, ran some people over to get the exclusive bottles because there are some of those ornaments, whatever you want to call them, on top there that are even more rare than the whiskey that's in the damn bottle.
True.
So that's what I always find so crazy about the Blantons.
Yeah.
Is it a good whiskey? I think so. I've had it before. We're going to review it today against some of these other.
Yep.
But I wouldn't downplay a Buffalo Trace.
No.
Right? So I wouldn't downplay this and say you shouldn't go pick this up. You should go pick this up. This is the entry into this family of whiskeys here. I think it's a great starter. And then the Eagle Rare, I mean, when I go out to a nice restaurant, usually an Eagle Rare, I get a double on the rocks, and that's what I'm having with my steak. I enjoy an Eagle Rare. It gets into that 10-year, which for me, like whiskey that's done at a 10-year, even some cheaper whiskeys. Let's talk about the Russells real quick.
Yeah,
that 10-year is like for the price. We're gonna have to bring that on a future episode because for the price, there's not a better 10-year whiskey. I don't think anyone out there would argue that.
That's a good claim for sure, especially given I feel like there's a lot of factors that go into it on findability, price, taste, and all that kind of stuff that has to be rather than for what you mentioned probably is just centered around taste.
Yes.
But for me, it comes into a lot of other factors. I didn't wait around the store to see what happened with the Blantons crew, but I knew they were waiting for Taylor and Blantons, and that's the family of Buffalo Trace is even bigger than these three. These are just kind of the big three main ones that you see a lot. There's obviously the Weller, which I don't have with us today, but I've sampled these. I got early on hooked on the Blantons just because of going with the crowd. started drinking Buffalo Trace as a brand. Great, I can find this a whole lot easier. It was a good flavor, and it gave me that kind of same flavor profile, but there's still a few different notes that are in Buffalo for Blantons. But I've actually really liked where Eagle Rare takes me, and that's kind of like Blantons. Yes, has that wow factor for kind of you can talk about it to someone and they're going to be like, yeah, I have been looking everywhere for Blantons.
See it at a tailgate or at a horse racing event. We've got plenty of those.
But I'm curious to taste all three side by side because it's been a while since I've done that. Yeah. But for me, recently, Eagle Rare has been more favorite out of this family. But I'm curious to see what that does. So why don't you share a little bit about your experience with any of these while I open this one up?
You know what? For normal guys, I think for me, I'm grabbing, when I go into a liquor store, usually I'm grabbing probably one bottle of something unique, something a little bit more rare, whether that be a store pick of a single batch or maybe a small batch run of something that has been waiting for a while, typically with a little bit more age, which means it's a little pricier, right? So I'm typically buying one bottle of that, and I might be buying 2 bottles of what I call off the shelf, just easy drinkers. They're what I'm going to have all the time. So the Buffalo Trace, I put in that easy drinker all the time category where you know what you're getting every single time you break the top on that bottle. You know what taste, profiles you're going to get. Whereas the Blantons and the Eagle, that's a little bit more of like, that's that one bottle I grab, and that's the bottle I don't like to see go away.
No,
So once it starts to get to that halfway point, you start to say, ooh, maybe I need to ease off. But of course you want to continue drinking good whiskey. So that's where the Buffalo Trace comes in. It will be that good intermediary where it's like you're not going to run out of the whiskey that you really enjoy, and you're not going to just burn through that exclusively rare bottle that you just might have had to punch grandma for because she's always showing up with the little carts. You know who I'm talking about at the liquor store.
Yeah.
She's got like 6 cases of wine and then like all the exclusive bottles because she's retired. Yeah. And drinking for the day is probably a good way to spend retirement. So that's my take on it.
It's interesting though too because it's just as challenging to find any of these at this point. In this city, in this region, like if I'm honest, whenever we travel for work, I am keeping my eyes open for, is there a quick liquor store I can stop in real quick just to test the waters in another town?
And I'm like, damn it, Matt, let's go. The day is done.
But when I come out to the car and I've got 2 bottles, you can't find these.
He's like getting in the back of the car. He's like seat belting the bottles. I'm like, damn, all right. I'm not mad at you because I'm going to get the taste of it.
Exactly. But let's start our little journey here with the Buffalo family, starting with Buffalo Trace. It has been a minute since I've tasted it, so let's dive in and
remind me. So this I believe is 45% alcohol.
So. Yep.
So I don't know what that comes out to as far as total proofing.
I think it's like,
but
90,
you can usually
94?
double it. Yeah, 93, 94, something like that. But yeah, okay. Let's hit it.
Yep. All right.
So we're gonna give you on the nose, on the palate, and then we're gonna give it a barrel score 1 to 5.
It's very nice. It has been too long, my friend.
And now help me remember on the type of wheat versus rye versus the barley. Where are we hitting with Buffalo Trace? Do you remember?
So basically, at least with what we've got sitting here, we have 2 different what's called mash bills, where they have 2 different designs that they have, where they have different, different time that they let things age and all that, but the bill is essentially the same. And that's, I believe, I want to say it's this one. The Blantons is mash bill number 2, and these are mash bill number 1. Got to do a little fact checking. I can't just let that go.
This to me is very floral as a bourbon.
It has it has the notes, much. Okay, so I was right. The Blantons is mash bill number 2, and Buffalo Trace and Eagle Rare is on mash bill 1.
Okay.
And the breakout on that is mash bill 1 is a low rye, it's 10% or less rye, and mash bill 2 is that 12 to 15% rye. So you'll get that little higher rye, which I know you like those. So you
those,
might end up liking Blantons a little bit more just because it's got a little bit more of that rye in there. But thank you, that at least confirms that I was
such an interesting. So on the nose here, I think this is why people really enjoy tasting this from a first taste is that it's not very pungent. Like this is not a strong smelling bourbon. Like most bourbons are going to hit you. It's going to give you a little bite as it first comes in, and then you're going to start to relax and get those smoother tones. This is smooth smelling the whole way through.
Yes.
And I'm almost having to like really put my nose in here to get those profiles.
Toasty, a little bit of toasty notes. I definitely get where you're coming from with the floral, but
see, I don't get any of the toasty. Like I'm getting almost like a honey. I'm getting a honey.
I was going like a caramely honey. Tiniest little bit
caramel.
of toast.
You are getting a toast? No,
tiniest.
More honey, more floral, like a jam. I'm almost getting like a raspberry jam and honey.
Interesting, yeah.
That's what I'm getting on the nose. I'm not getting your traditional like. And
maybe toast is the wrong word. Maybe it's more like I'm just getting that woodsy barrel kind of
that
scent.
could be the barrel, the barreling. Yeah. Okay. Well, you want to taste it?
Let's go for Buffalo Trace. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I have to check because I know the Blantons, and I'm trying not to compare them right now before drinking the Blantons.
Mm-hmm.
But for this is a very easy step into Blantons because, again, like you said, there's going to be a little bit different rye ratio in the mash bill, but this taste profile is very similar, and I think that's a good reason we're doing the family here.
Mm-hmm.
But I get that light honey taste to this. There's just a little. There's nothing on the tip of the tongue. On the tip of the palate, there's almost nothing. It's super smooth. It hits you about the middle of the tongue, for me at least.
Yeah.
And bites at the swallow, which is a little different. I typically like a whiskey that bites at the front and then smooth through the swallow. This is a little bit in reverse fashion here. Extremely, extremely smooth. Now I taste that kind of traditional bourbon barrel type flavoring here, the oak finishing. I'm definitely getting that. I'm getting a little bit more of the kind of, you said caramel.
Caramel-ish, yeah. It's not caramel, but it's along that line.
I kind of taste what you're getting at there, like the it's reminding me of what are those old like Worthen candies?
Oh, Werther's Original.
Werther's.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I'm getting a little bit of that, like not so much butterscotch, but like in the middle. I'm getting a little flavor.
Not butterscotch, but it does have that like burnt sugar kind of caramely.
Caramel sea salt, saltwater taffy.
Okay.
That's what I'm getting, where it's like that light. It's like that light caramel, saltwater taffy flavor. It's not changing on the nose for me. It's still smelling the same after tasting.
Well, I hated that because it's already gone.
Matt, someone stole your bourbon.
I hate that it's already empty. But no, for me, this is a average. I'll call myself an average drinker. I don't know what that would quantify, but I like the creaminess of it. It's not super lightweight and it's not super heavy. It kind of falls in the middle. It's not chewy. It's not like super wet. It has this really comfortable texture to it.
Now the color's bold.
Yeah.
And I do think that there is, like when I say the bite, let me specify that a little bit. It's almost like a spice, right? So
clovey kind of.
Clovey, okay. Okay. I can kind of get that. Again, that's that like smoothness coming through. But that little spice is almost like a spiced rum taste to me. It's got that little bit, it's like in the top of your throat on the swallow. Other than that, man, like this even being 90 proof to me is a surprise because it drinks like
it's very smooth. Yeah, very, very smooth. And I want to confirm that was 45%.
Do we want to give it a barrel score now then for Buffalo?
No, let's keep moving on. Let's
we could forget. It could change.
It could.
So should we be objective now?
Okay. Let's give this. Yeah, let's give Buffalo a barrel score, and then maybe we give Buffalo Trace a family score.
Like the Buffalo family score.
A family
Interesting.
score.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. So, okay. And we're doing, this is barrels 1 to 5.
1 to 5. You can do half barrels.
Yeah, you can do half barrels. Give me your barrel score.
For me, this is a solid 3. And I hate to give it less. And I would almost preface that I'm giving it less because I know what's in line next. But I have to give it a 3 because I think it is that don't even think about it. If you like the taste, you grab it off the shelf. It's there for you every day. It's bringing that same great flavor. It's so smooth that, God, even if you're not a neat or a on the rocks drinker, man, you should try it out like that because this is non-intrusive. It's so smooth.
Yeah,
the bite is just enough.
It's
just
enough.
It's
great.
This isn't
quite
itself. Like what I call like winter campfire whiskey, where you need that you need that high proof, a little bit of that bite to warm you up. This isn't that. This is that kind of, you could drink this on a hot day and be just fine.
So for me, it's that multifunction. I feel like I love this by itself, neat or on the rocks. It's also kind of gives you that top shelf mix ability to where if you made an old fashioned with this, you feel like you're treating yourself more so than with other less expensive options 100%. That would be out there. So for me, this is where that kind of falls. I love it. The taste is going to be always like in that range where I'm enjoying this experience in either by itself or as a mix. For me, I get a barrel score about 3.5.
3.5. That's good. I mean, good. You know, I'm sticking at 3, but it is a strong 3. It is a very strong, confident 3. It's not a negative 3 if you want to think about it that way. So
exactly.
Love it.
But that's I think a good entry point because it's not like just because it's the Buffalo Trace brand, it's not the bottom rung necessarily.
No,
it's not.
Definitely not.
It's just a member of the family. Yeah. And this is where we're going to go next. This is Eagle Rare.
Ooh, you're switching it up on me because I thought you were going to go Blantons next.
No, we're going to
now I'm a little surprised.
We're going to make our viewers hang out to the end of the episode for the one that they actually want to hear us talk about.
Do you think that's the one? See, I would argue because of my palate. I'm like, damn, the Eagle Rare is the 10-year, baby. Let's roll.
And it is. And for me, recently, this has been more of the favorite. Like I've been enjoying this one a whole lot more.
So you want to just take that one out?
It's a marketing tactic here. I am so sorry for this, but in a marketing tactic, you're gonna have to wait to the end of the episode to watch the review on Blantons.
Well, there
I'm cracking
goes that.
this open. This is we're getting
brand new. So we're seeing the skin come off this bad boy. And I'll talk a little bit about I gave you kind of an indication of how I like my Eagle Rare, which is when I'm going out to dinner with the wife, you know, normally in Nashville, some of these nicer restaurants, they've got a pretty good exclusivity list, and you can get even some very interesting bottles of Eagle Rare, right? So Eagle Rare in itself, this is the 10-year. It's pretty exclusive, but I mean, there are some more exclusive versions of the Eagle Rare. So I like to get the Eagle Rare, pair it with my food. It's one of those things that I don't have to even question, even if it's a version I have not had yet. I don't have to question whether I'm going to like it. So it's a safe play for me. It's also a little bit more up there without getting into the $40 a shot range at a restaurant. So I think it's a great bourbon. And for me, I don't think I'm a snob in this aspect, but I like getting into those 10 plus years of aging, that 10, 11, 12, those golden years of bourbon aging.
It changes the flavor a lot too.
It really
does. It's not just about the proof at that point. At that point, you're literally doing it intentionally to change the flavor. And that's where it's respectable, because the artisan thinking behind how they're crafting their own taste with what they're designing is where it comes into play.
100%. And you'll notice across the family, that's a bold color. Across the whole family, it's a bold color. And what I mean by that is that it's not so translucent. You know what I mean? You are still getting a really good amber color throughout. No matter which one we pour here, I think the color is consistent across the three, which again drives to that consistency and taste. You know when you open this bottle what you're getting, which I think is great to be, dependent on.
On the nose. It's still a family member. I can tell that it's a family member
because it's not intrusive. It doesn't punch you.
It doesn't punch you. And remember, this is the same mash bill.
Yeah.
The same mash bill.
Yeah.
And it's going longer. It's 10-year.
So Buffalo Trace had some time to grow up,
and
exactly. Those barrels had some time to grow up, which is great.
I'm almost getting a smoky.
Smoky. I was gonna say you got that char. For me, it's the char. It's smoky, almost. I don't know. Smoky can be a little intrusive. So there are some bourbons where I'm like smoking. It's like, ooh, like maybe they smoked it in the process on purpose.
Maybe.
But like a good char smell for me is like a good char on a barbecue. You know what I mean? It's like you smell the flavor. You're not smelling burnt. Yeah, you dove right in.
I'm sorry.
Now this one I can tell you that caramel thing we were picking up on there, the saltwater toffee that I kind of said, this is definitely there. It's definitely there. This one has that traditional bourbon vanilla kind of smell to it. But this one I'm getting kind of like a this is going to be weird, but like a really crisp like yellow apple. Like you ever had one of those like
a Granny Smith thing?
No, that's green. I'm talking about like the Gala. Have you ever had one of those?
Yeah.
Like just a yellow, just like crisp. They're more like a crunchy apple. I'm getting a little bit of that in it. Okay. I'm an apple eater, so maybe it's like it's my familiarity here, but I'm getting that beautiful char, and I'm getting a little bit of that kind of. Do you know if this is in sherry cask at all?
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
I'm getting that familiar smell, but it's deeper. It's more like a spice.
Yeah.
I'm getting a spice smell here.
I definitely agree that the flavor between Buffalo to Eagle Rare, I just would call it a more mature flavor, to where the notes are still similar. It's like the notes had time to develop and turn into what they were supposed to be.
Yep.
And to where that caramel is just a little bit more unique, and the toast or barrel taste is just a little bit more refined. And it adds some extra subtlety to where I'm almost getting like a holiday spice kind of feel and sense. Where
that holiday spice is a great way to say it, because it's a holiday spice to me is rich. It's like when you come in, you're like, damn, you got cookies going? No, that's just a holiday spice candle. And you're like, shit. Like, that's kind of like, that's kind of the full flavor here without like being intrusive in the nose.
The chewiness is the same though. The texture.
See, I feel different on this.
No?
I feel for this, it's almost like it hit my tongue, and I could tell like there was liquid on my tongue.
Yeah. But
it almost like, not absorbed, but it felt like it kind of evaporated, because there's no real bite on the swallow here. The bite is in the middle. The bite is like, it splashes your tongue. You know your tongue's wet. There's liquid in your mouth. Then the bite. Then it's like, ooh, chill out. And then you swallow, and it's like, wow, that flavor.
Yeah.
There's no bite here. So for me, it was like dry wet. Is that a term?
Is that a term? I don't know. We're not talking about martinis here. So.
I don't know, but
I mean, I feel the same kind of sense where you mentioned it, and where it's really soft on the front, hits you in the middle, and then all the flavor just comes alive on the back end, which is kind of what Buffalo Trace did, but just in a lot softer way, like the baby, like just not hitting you as hard, just a little bit softer sense.
So have you had like really strong like English tea?
Yeah.
That's what I would like. This would be like if you cooled down a strong, hot English tea the way you're supposed to have it. If you cooled it down, like the way this enters in and the flavor, the way it hits you, it's like it enters the mouth. You're like, I'm drinking something. And then that middle is just like, wow. The flavors come alive in the middle. And then you swallow, and you're like, oh, I could take another sip of that. I'm not tired of it, right? That's kind of what I would equate the experience to be like, which is you're not going to get tired of this because of the way the flavors come into the mouth.
Yeah.
And even if I let it sit for a little bit, breathe in a little bit more air while it's in my mouth there, I even get a little bit more of that. I was calling it floral, but it's still like that. It's like honey with a fruit, and I can't really put my hand on it. That's why I said that Gala yellow apple, because that's more of a
is it kind of like that apple. Kind of like that, almost like a raisiny, because you add caramel with fruit, and that's kind of like where a raisin lives, is kind of that caramely land.
I could see that.
It's not right, but that's the only thing coming to mind right now, is kind of like that dried raisin or dried plum, almost kind of somewhere in that
like
range.
What is that fruit that you can buy in the packs? Like the
apricots, plums.
It's like it's like hydrated or dehydrated. You know, the dehydrated
They make a lot of those though.
Yeah, the dehydrated plums, like you were saying, like that's a good flavor profile to put it in.
Yeah,
dehydrated plum because it's sweet.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking with the raisin and the plum kind of flavor in that.
You don't really taste it when you bite it, but when you chew it, you're like, oh, here we are.
At this point, we're looking at reviewing Eagle Rare in a scoring sense now.
Don't make me. Do it. Don't make me do it. You brought my favorite in of the three in the middle. I'm biased, but I'm trying my best to just forget everything I know. Forget Buffalo Trace. Forget Blantons. Eagle Rare itself.
How much did you enjoy what you just drank? Regardless as to what you just...
Oh, God. I can only go to 5?
Yes.
Okay. I have to be fair here because I think for us to do this for a long period of time, we have to be very careful with our high scores.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
So we can only do half barrels, right? We might have to change this.
No. That's enough. Because I know in my head, I already know where I am.
This for me,
based on what you like to drink.
Since I know it's not my absolute favorite whiskey, I can't give it the 5 spot.
Uh-oh.
It's a 4.5.
Okay.
It's a 4.5 only because, and I'm not going to give it away on this one, but there is a whiskey that
is
like
a 5.
Better. That is a 5 for me.
Interesting.
For me personally.
Okay.
So this is coming in at 4.5.
Okay.
And I will say of that 4.5 barrels, this is probably what I would say the average Joe, you and I. This is going to be your treat yourself whiskey that is going to live in a category in your mind that you're going to drink it, and no matter if you just got off the work site, you know, freaking literally like putting shingles on a house, or you just left white collar Wall Street, this is going to put you in a mindset of I'm treating myself to a great whiskey drinking experience. It's pleasant on the nose, it is non-intrusive on the palate, and it gives you the same flavor profile every time.
Yep.
So men, we're like creatures of habit. If you know you like what you like, this is the whiskey for you.
And I feel like I'm right along there with you, because I did just have to go and buy another one because mine went empty. And being a different type of drinker where I like to really spread out,
I don't know how you do it.
It's based off of wanting to explore that profile, but then when I reach the end of a bottle and it's like, oh, do I need to buy this again?
Yeah.
Or do I just keep looking?
Yeah.
I bought again.
Yeah.
And so I think for me that clearly kind of indicates where my score would be.
Yeah.
I want to give it a 5, but I'm also kind of feeling that 4.5
Have you had a whiskey better than this? Is a good question. For you personally. Not the price point, not the exclusivity factor.
No.
Have you tasted one better?
Not really.
So this would technically be your 5 for now.
Yeah.
It's okay to come back later.
Okay.
But see, I have enjoyed a whiskey that I know I like better. So that's the difference.
Okay. So for my scale, I think this is the I would go for that all the time. Like I would reach for this and always be happy, never be disappointed. So sure, I'll go with that, and I'll say this is a 5.
And again, I think you're going to see that across the Buffalo family, which is just this consistency. Again, the coloring, what mash bill it is, the on the nose and on the palate will change the most, but on the nose doesn't change too much across these 3.
Not
there
much.
are more in the family that would give you a very different, like, oh, okay, something different's going on here in some of the other brands, but with these 3 specifically, you're not going to get a whole lot of difference on the nose.
And that's just due to the fact that they only have really 2 mash bills for most of their product. They have more. They have the high rye one.
Yep.
But those are so darn hard to find.
Yes.
And it's I love the fact that it harkens for me back to like collectibles as a child, like those Pokemon cards and collectible action figures. This is the adult version of that.
Yes.
So this
little more expensive to get into.
It is for sure, but that's just a different realm as being an adult.
We haven't talked about any of that pricing on these.
We haven't. I was just going to circle back to that at the end, just to kind of like
we'll save that.
Put a bow on it.
So you're sticking with 4.5?
No, I'll say that this is a 5 because I would be happy any day
Any day.
drinking this, and I would not be disappointed if you told me I couldn't change for several weeks, couldn't change to something else.
And again, this is my go-to out at restaurants because it's in a great price point for me to order on the rocks and things like that for me personally, right? Yep. And that's on.
It's not that expensive if you can find it in a retail.
Right.
At a restaurant, it's a little.
Of course,
it's a choice, but
it's marked up there. But I'm saying versus the Pappies that are on the same menu, and you're like,
which is still the same variety of the mash bill. It's it's a different little blend and a different age, different part of the warehouse.
Yep.
But it's still the same kind of combination.
Same kind of bloodline.
Well, shall we move to the what do we even call this? This is the
I call it the hand grenade. People call it the pony chase or whatever you want to call it. But
I mean, it's the one that everyone, and they don't even know why they're going after it. Like if you're new to whiskey and you're like, oh, I gotta find that Blantons. Like everyone's got to find it.
Yeah.
Like I have my own ways of finding this, and I've got 2 of them here on my shelf that I'm slowly going through just because of that difficulty to find it. Yeah. Whereas with Buffalo is a little easier to get. Eagle Rare is a little bit less, but then this is almost impossible to find on the shelf. You have to really be strategic with how you get your hands on it.
And I would say, this is also like the great divider whiskey, because some people will say, for the money, it's trash, and some people will say, for the money, it's a discount. Like it's like you're either usually in the whiskey community, you're on one of those ends. You're not in the middle. Yeah. You're like everyone I think says it's a good whiskey. Yeah. But some people are like, it's not a good whiskey for the price, or some people are like, it's actually kind of a discounted, a better whiskey than what it's priced at.
So as for myself, becoming more educated with whiskey. Yeah. I at the beginning, yes, I was super hypey of, I don't care what you say. I don't care what it is. Blantons is the best just because of the hypiness. I was excited when I saw it at a restaurant. I was thrilled when I saw it in a store. Now, as being a little bit more educated, I kind of lean back towards the other way, where it's like, for the price, I do feel it's a little bit expensive. Yeah. I still enjoy. I have a couple bottles of Blantons at my house, and I know you can't find it. Like, sure, that's that little excitement thrill that you get, and yes, but as becoming more and more educated with whiskey, I do kind of tend to agree it belongs on my shelf. Yeah. But if I were to hunt for it super hard to try to find like
worth the hunt, if you will, like is it worth that added?
If it didn't have the allure of that it's not credibility, but that bragging rights of this is on my shelf. Yeah. If it didn't have that, I don't know that I would put as much effort for it as I would with Eagle Rare.
I can understand that 100%, and I think that they did a great job in the design of the bottle, because I think that people see that bottle, and for whatever reason,
it marketing?
They go nuts. Yeah, it's
definitely marketing.
It's package marketing, right? It's product marketing, but also the whole exclusivity of finding all those little freaking toppers.
Ooh, that's a big pour. You want a big pour like that?
Or do you want sure, man. Line me up here. I'm good to go. But those toppers, that's like the freaking McDonald's monopoly. Like you're so unlikely to win that damn McDonald's monopoly, but people go nuts playing that shit. That adds a little extra layer of fun here, where if you do have the full collection, not only are you a Blantons drinker, which is already somewhat of a let's call it a subculture itself in the whiskey category, but then you also have the additional layer of nah, son, you ain't on my level. I got all these toppers here. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting what they did, and I love that. I wish more brands would build in this kind of added layer to enjoying that brand. If I knew there was a way to go in and enjoy of the Wild Turkey family, for instance, if they had something that was more to that playability of not only are you finding these exclusive runs, but you're also finding this exclusive, maybe the bottling is so unique that you better, even if you finish this, you better hold on to the bottle, because this bottle is so rare. If they created some other layer, I think I'd enjoy it more, right?
I just hope they don't get to the level of stupidity with the exclusivity and the rarity of it, to where they'd be like, in order to buy Blantons at any retail shop near you, far around, whatever, you have to have this NFT. How dumb would that be, to where you have to show up to the store and show your wallet with the Blantons NFT?
That is a segue for our day jobs.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
That we probably shouldn't get into on this. Let's just drink good whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're out there and you want to set up an NFT with your whiskey business, please contact Sequel. Was that a good one? All right.
That one
let's get back to the whiskey.
That'll play. But let's nose on the nose.
Now, I will say this. You remember I said the color is pretty consistent.
Oh.
And I would agree with that. I would say you did a little strong pour here. Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that this one seems just a tad darker in that amber color.
Mm-hmm.
A tad darker here
mm-hmm.
than the previous two, which is interesting because looking at them through the bottle, they look indistinguishable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's that rye.
Yeah, the rye is here.
There it is.
The rye's like, da-da-da-da. I'm here.
Yep.
Matt's automatically shaving a barrel off of the score like instantly with his nose going in here.
No way in any capacity, because this is, if I'm honest, this is kind of where I started because it was the allure that kind of brought me into the fun factor of whiskey. That was like, ooh, this is kind of fun to try to chase it and find it and all that stuff. And then you become more educated and you taste different things and you find out what your palate likes and dislikes.
Yeah.
But to say, my heart will always have a special place because it was that entry point where, you remind me of when I got started. And so as much as I may not be a rye drinker as you are, I would never discount any sort of like developments of my profile to its score of like what it would be.
I'm going to say something absolutely bonkers.
Okay.
Blasphemy, okay? On the nose for me, again, not super different. You notice the rye here, but not super different from the other ones. I feel like this is a more pungent version of the Buffalo. And, well, the Buffalo is almost par and par with this, but I would say it's a little more pungent than the Buffalo, way more pungent than the Eagle, but it's the same profile, right? So the rye is higher in the mash bill, but for this one, vanilla and honey is what I'm getting straight away. Now, there's some other things in here, but vanilla and honey are hitting me straight away. And here's the blasphemy part.
Uh-oh. Because I'm with you on the vanilla. Yeah.
This smells, at first, like Jack Daniel's honey.
Uh-oh. That is pretty bad. I do have Jack Daniel's honey up there. I'm halfway tempted to pull that down and let you sniff it.
Where's it at?
The top left.
Okay. I'm going to get it.
Get it. I literally have one thing that I use. Well, actually two things that I use Jack honey for, and that is in Sprite in the summer, which is wonderful if you've ever had that with Sprite mixed in.
Sprite, good.
And then I use that with my barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Marinated.
my gosh. It's so delicious.
Okay.
Is it different or is it the same?
I was super fucking wrong.
Really?
I was the wrongest. I apologize entirely.
Okay.
Scratch that from the record.
He just compared Blantons.
Go ahead and see how different that is.
Jack Daniel's honey.
Okay, so
yeah, this is sugar.
I'm just gonna make sure that my nose is still intact here. I don't know what I was thinking, except that the honey was so strong.
That is pretty blasphemous.
I
feel like we need a chaplain to come in and, you know.
Am I allowed to drink this now? I don't. Maybe I should repent.
Oh my gosh.
The honey and vanilla was so strong that's what it made me remember. But smelling the Jack honey is like
sugar.
Smelling a sugar cube sitting on top of a lollipop.
Mm-hmm. That's why there's more calorie count.
That right there, that whiff gave me a headache. So I'm sorry that I put those in the same on the nose category. Yeah. Throw the hate and the shade in the comments.
Oh my gosh, that'll make a wonderful TikTok though.
Jesus.
He just compared Blantons to Jack Daniels. Oh my gosh.
Oh boy. Okay.
Can we go for it?
Hang on though. Okay, on the nose for you.
All right, on the nose for me. I'm with you on the vanilla. I'm definitely
that honey.
Well, probably in the same realm as these other, where it's that sweet.
It's not like a pancake syrup, but it's
no,
honey.
Because the clove changes to rye.
Honey
from these other.
Honey.
I know.
You are believing, honey. Yes. These are the drugs you're looking for.
No, it is. I know where you're coming from, and I'm definitely there. I think that the personality.
Let me smell
factor,
the mic. I'm just trying to the mic maybe just making sure that I can clean my nose out.
Yeah. I'll have to get a coffee scented mic filter for us so that we can clean our palate.
And if you could get away for it to drop just peanuts out the
oh gosh.
Just add these in. Yeah, that'd be great. You could really
no,
get that
no,
bar
the
experience.
nose. I'm just the hardest way for me to describe this, which is not helpful at all, is just that it has more personality. And I think that's coming from the rye.
Yep.
It's coming from the rye, but it still has those notes of sweetness and vanilla where it's not threatening to where it's like burning your nostrils just with that sense. It's got more of that smooth personality kind of feeling to it to where it's still going to be a very pleasant experience.
So on the nose for me, super, super sweet. Honey, vanilla, I'm getting that. I'm still getting that. It's still like that kind of cask, like almost like sherry, you know.
Sherry-ish,
Even if that's not in their process, that's what's coming across, and that might be the rye that I'm kind of mixing up there. Now that I smelled that sugar cube, I don't even know if I can smell straight, but yeah, like this one, if you on the nose, like if I had to see into the future, I'd say this is going to bite on the front. That's what
more so than the others, at least. Yeah,
that's what I would say. Like on the nose, this is what it's telling me it's going to bite. We get into this.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Deep pour you have here.
It didn't come on the front as much as I was expecting. It's kind of more mid palate.
Really?
Kind of earlier than the other two.
Yes.
But not as like tip of the tongue as I was thinking. As I was remembering.
That's interesting because me, after the swallow, tip of the tongue burn, swallow.
Really?
Burn. Nothing on the middle of the tongue. Nothing. So
maybe
middle palate, I'm just missing it entirely. But I'm getting a great taste here of that kind of, again, that char. And I do mean that in like the barbecue brisket type char. Like the char is in like the flavor, deep, rich, caramelized flavor. It's not a burnt taste that I really like.
It's like when barbecue gets the burnt ends.
Yes, yeah.
You really like the burnt ends. You're glad that they're burnt, but they're not gone.
Yeah,
they're not toasted.
They are almost like the delicacy that you go into like to finish the meal off, or you save some of those pieces. This for me is super traditional on the palate. It's super traditional. It's something that I would expect from a really good rye whiskey. I don't know how I'm feeling about it, really.
The sought after Blantons that everyone wants. Why do they want it? It's not for the contents. It's more for the bottle, more for the allure.
It's hard because you take all that prejudice that you hear into the experience that you're drinking, right?
Yeah.
So your expectations are so high when you get this bottle in your hand. You get home and you're like, damn, I finally got it. You break into it. Your expectations are so high. So I do think that I think it hits right where it's supposed to. I'm not on that side that thinks that it's way overpriced. I think it hits right where it wants to, but the allure, like the lore
hype.
itself,
The hype,
the media, you know, the exclusivity, the everything comes into you tasting it and trying to judge it, and that's unfair because I think it is a really good whiskey. And again, the rye coming out in it shifts more to my profile. I like that on the palate.
Yep.
That is where I like to stay. So this is a very delicious whiskey. So trying to say that it's not or trying to downplay it is unfair. But I would say that it's judged to a standard that's higher than most. Like this is judged more than like most Pappies.
True.
And Pappy brings that same into the...
It does,
It's like, damn, I'm about to drink a Pappy. Like you have this freaking... The bar goes way up in your mind.
Even more so than this. Even more so than this because Pappy is super hard to find.
From a cost perspective, I think the barrier to entry with the Pappies is crazy.
It's too high. Yeah.
But it brings that same in. It's like the bar is so high, like you know, I don't know. It's
you know, I don't know, but I'm curious though because the interesting aspect, because I know you like ryes a little bit more than you do. Being that the Blantons has a higher rye mash bill than the Eagle Rare, is your score gonna reflect that typical personality profile that you like in whiskey, being that it's the higher rye?
So, as far as getting into the more exclusive, the more higher end whiskeys, I like the rye. I lean that way. The reason I lean that way is that the ryes tend to not lose their bite, like their strength, over ice. Because typically I'm not drinking neat. Typically it's on the rocks, a big sphere or a big cube. So that's why I lean more towards the ryes, as they don't lose that depth, that punch, if you will, as quickly as some of the lower rye mash bills.
Sure.
Traditional whiskey, my everyday drink, like, I'm not picking this.
Yeah.
Not because it's not good, but because it's in a category in which I would save for the, like, I'm having a good night.
Yeah.
I'm going to be out.
It's a little bit of a celebratory kind of thing.
Correct.
But let me ask you this: if I put an ice cube in that, does that make it better or worse for you?
Personally, it makes it better. And I think that's because this has such a bold flavor profile to it right when it comes in. That's that on the tip that I got. Bold flavor profile that comes in on the tip, that where once you swallow, you almost need the second, the third drink to really figure out what you tasted. Yeah. Whereas the other ones were like, there's no question. This is exactly what I'm tasting. The smoothness was there. This one's like so bold that you're like, did I taste more, more of that kind of char? Did I taste a little bit more of that honey? Did I taste a little bit more of that, spice? Like, what did I taste?
So because this was a big pour, let me go get a cube, and then you put that in there, and then let's see if does that adjust your personal preference on it or not? Because we've almost got Blantons Part 2.
Now, people are gonna just.
I know
what
it's
the F?
Not in this glass. Bloop. That is wrong.
I just
totally wrong.
I just dropped it in. We got a clinkety clink. I'm gonna give it a minute. Gotta give it a minute. So here's what we'll do. Let's do 2 barrel scores on Blantons. We're gonna do a non-ice barrel score.
Yep.
And we're going to do an on the rocks barrel score.
Okay. In the wrong glass.
In the wrong glass.
Sorry. Okay. Well, I know what your Eagle Rare was, and we had a pretty good discussion around that. I'll go first on this one. Okay. And I gave Eagle Rare a 5, and I think Blantons is because I'll add just a smidge to the allure of my entry point.
Yep.
And I'm not going to discount it on this flavor. I'll give it a 4.5. So it's not going to be that king of the hill. Wow. I'll give it a 4.5.
Insert Owen Wilson faces.
Wow. Oh, wow. It is still very delicious, and it reminds me why I got into whiskey, because of holding the bottle, getting that taste, and remembering what it was like to have that first kind of experience. Started out with whiskey, and I'm not gonna make what I know about whiskeys now hurt that score, and so
that's fair.
4.5.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm a marketing guy, right? So I have to tip my hat to just what they've done around the brand, around the bottle, the exclusivity, the fun that people are having with the toppers, just the packaging itself. The bottle is so unique that people just freaking oogle over this bottle, right? So I'm going to give it a 4.
Okay.
Do I believe that there are whiskeys out there that will give you the same exact taste experience for less money? Yes. But I have to be fair in saying that truly tasting blends does not lessen the hype for me. There's so much hype going in that my expectations were met.
Yes, it's part of the process, part of the experience that you're enjoying with it, and it's not discounting it because of the flavor.
Will you regret buying a bottle of Blantons? No, you will not. You will not regret it. You will think about it and you will judge it against others, but you will not regret buying the bottle of Blantons.
Maybe if you bought it marked up, because I know a place here in Franklin that will have Blantons on its shelf on a regular basis.
Yeah,
but it's like $150.
Yeah.
So if I were that purchaser, I might regret it.
And they're just twisting your arm because of that exclusivity. Guys, don't spend $150 on Blantons, but I will say that normally at its normal retail price, you won't regret purchasing
Agreed.
and drinking and enjoying the blend. So I'm giving it a 4.
Okay. That's fair.
That's high for me.
Yeah.
That's high. Because of the rye. Love it. Right? It's interesting. I think it's going to be better here on this cube.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.
Now, what would you rate? What would your barrel score for Jack Daniel's Honey be?
Oh my God! It does not.
I just got to bring that back up.
It does not get on the barrel score, and again, look, crucify me in the comments, but it doesn't get a barrel score. Jack,
Blantons. That's going to be our thumbnail for this video. Is Blantons and Jack Daniel's Honey.
In my opinion, there are some good flavored whiskeys out there. However, a flavored whiskey will never compete with a true traditional bourbon whiskey.
Oh, absolutely.
So.
That's like saying Fireball could compete with
no.
with whatever your number 5, their mystery number 5 that he has not shared with us yet. Yeah,
I bet you can wait. So it won't get into a barrel score. So Jack Daniel's Honey, unfortunately, doesn't get into the barrel score plateau.
Okay.
But I was trying to say that that honey, for me,
it was strong up front, reminded you of that, but when you got there, you pulled up and realized it was a trailer versus pulling up in a Rolls Royce. Hey there, Sonny boy. What can we do you for over here?
I shoved 2, what are those things at the fair? The
elephant
cotton
ears?
candy.
Oh, cotton candy.
I shoved 2 different flavors of cotton candy up my nose, and then someone poured a sugar packet on my tongue, and then I sucked them all in at once.
Yeah, it was really strong.
Like.
Really
Don't
strong.
ever smell that bottle.
Well, we've got some sitting Blantons with a little bit of water in it.
Let's do it.
It's a little colder.
Let's do it.
Let's see
the
if
cube's in there. The temperature's
change.
down. We've got a little bit of dilution from the water, and I think this is going to be right up my alley. On the nose, so on the nose with the cube in there, on the nose, it goes straight to Eagle Rare category for me.
Pretty much with a just a kiss of the rye. Just a little kiss more.
See, I don't even with the cube in it. You couldn't tell me rye's in this.
Really?
So if you're a non-rye drinker and you're like, "Ooh, I don't want Blantons because there's rye in it," I'm going to tell you right now that with a cube in it, you can't tell me there's rye in it. Okay, there's rye in it, but you can't tell me that this is a higher rye mash bill.
Sure, that's fine because it's diluted. It's going to soften that experience anyway. But with the cube in it, the taste it's almost like it comes alive. A little bit. His score just changed. I could see it on his face.
Damn. And I hate that this makes such an impact, and some people just absolutely hate that you don't drink it neat. Some people hate dropping. Like I've got a buddy who just drops a couple of drops, 3 drops of water in. Like he's like scientific with it. He's like, for this bourbon and this mash bill, I'm putting 1 drop in. For this bourbon and this mash, I'm putting 3 or 4 drops. I'm never like that. I drop a cube in it. Like you won't see me pour water into a neat glass and then drink it. I won't do it. I'll put a cube on it.
Yeah.
But I truly believe that the flavor profile, and I think that the distillers really take this into account. I think the distillers have done the homework. They know that most people are drinking this over ice cubes.
Yeah.
Straight out the refrigerator. Sometimes even with another mixer. But they are taking this into account, and the flavor profile is so much more rich because you don't get a burn with the cube, and you get to literally taste every single thing that's in that flavor profile because there's no burn. It doesn't take your attention away.
Yeah.
So
are you going to join me at the 4.5 now? He's tempted. Come on. Join me at 4.5. Can't give you quarter barrels.
I know. That's what I was just about to ask.
Nope. Your expressions really say.
Do you want me to take it? Do you want me to take into account the whole thing, or do you want me to take into account the taste of the whiskey? You tell me. On this,
for you, it would be how you drink it, because if you said, okay, just tasting it neat, it tastes like this, but that's not how you would necessarily drink it. So set it up for success and give it in the way that you enjoy drinking your spirits.
When I buy a new bottle of whiskey or bourbon that I've never had before, I drink a little bit of it neat, maybe less than a shot.
Just to understand it.
Drink it neat to understand it. Really want to know what the profile is, like what does it do with the bite, and then I put it over a big cube.
Yep.
Okay? And that's usually a double over a big rock. Okay? This is a better whiskey on the cube. Drink.
Yeah.
But again, that 4 barrel score that I gave it was encompassing everything.
Okay.
That was the marketer in me being like, damn it, I love what they've done with the whole culture around it.
Yeah.
Love it. You cannot, you have to respect that.
But your reaction to when you sipped it with the cube in
it's better.
It changed it, and you were happier. But did you already account for that in your score at the beginning?
I counted some marketing into the 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I might have given that a 3 or 3.5 if I was just judging the bourbon.
Just the taste, yeah. Blind. Maybe we do that in some future episodes. Do some blind taste.
Can you tell which is which? That would be great. So, not attributing any marketing. On the cube, it's a 4.
Okay.
Add the marketing, and you can get to a 4.5.
Okay. All right.
But I feel like I gave the marketing its due on the 4 score, so I'm staying at a 4 all around for Blantons.
Okay.
But and for me, such a better...
For me, adding the cube just got it to where I typically will drink. Just, I guess that's very similar to yourself, where I like it...
I'm unhappy that it's
cold.
I'm unhappy.
I like it cold. I like it just the tiniest little bit diluted. I would be if I were a neat drinker, I'd probably still add like a drop or 2 of water just to waken up the profile a little bit.
And how do you do that? You get a dropper, or do you just
like
splash?
one of the the bitters kind of splashers where you're just splashing in a few different drops or something. But
that takes some real patience. That's some Jedi level whiskey drinking. See, me, I'm just like, boom. When I get a brand new one, I'm like so excited. I'm like a kid with unwrapping a Christmas gift. I'm like, pop.
Yeah.
Cork comes out. I'm like, by the way, I'll bring in the next time we do this glass corks. I'm like,
really?
This is like a thing in some bottling where I'm just like, I'm gonna break this. What am I putting in? Because I open it like an animal. Like I'm like ravishing a new package where I'm like, this is so cool. I've heard a lot about this. It's been talked up. I really want to taste this. So I pour a little bit of neat before I move on to the cube.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean.
Okay. Yeah, I think for me, I did give it the score 4.5 based off of I knew where I was happy with this. I've got that little excitability because this was the entry point for me, and so 4.5 is where. But now we come to the end where I don't even know how long we've been going, but this has been a worthwhile endeavor.
Well, it's 3
the
bourbons.
family score.
Yeah.
Of how well is Buffalo Trace doing for you and for me for a score? How good are they? Like, are they really killing it? Are they crushing it with what they're doing on a flavor profile, on a marketing tactic? Like, there's just so many different aspects that could come into play for Buffalo.
I'm going to try and break this down in a way that most people can understand. And I'm going to equate it with an analogy to cars.
Okay.
Think of the brand Lexus. They are never first in technology.
Mm-hmm.
They're seldom first in comfort. They are reliable, dependable. You know exactly what you're getting. You are getting Toyota refined.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like Toyota brand,
there's a level of luxury to them.
There's a level of luxury.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite your Mercedes top of the lines, right? But Lexus hits every time. And I would say that consistency, that dependability and taste, that's where you're taking this Buffalo Trace kind of family, this Buffalo family here, if you want to call it that.
Are they the German engineering?
No.
But not luxury
See, that's
level.
what I'm saying. BMW, like their performance engines are just like, that's a whole nother level. It's like they're focused on how crazy performance can we get, sacrificing some quality.
Okay.
Lexus is saying, I care so much about quality that I'm refining a 10-year-old piece of technology to make it the most dependable version of that technology as possible.
Okay.
So they're not on the forefront of flavor.
Yeah.
They're not on the forefront of barreling techniques, right? They're not on the forefront, but they are such a dependable brand that it is hard to say that they aren't the Lexus version of whiskey. Whereas if you want luxury, you want that status symbol, but you also want a dependable, great drinking experience, they are that.
So what I'm looking up here is I'm curious because we know bourbon and whiskey has been around for ever.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
How long has Buffalo Trace been around? And I'm sorry that I didn't look this up specifically in the beginning.
Yep. They're one of the older ones. And I will say they are expanding the shit out of their location. They've built new facilities. They have new touring set up. So go check that out.
Take a guess, because I mean we know
how long.
When were they founded? Like, what was the? We know that they're from Kentucky, from Frankfort.
1860s.
1792.
Holy shit!
They've been doing it for a minute.
So we were like, "Yo, America, that's a cool thing," and they were like, "Yo, whiskey."
We've been doing it for a minute.
We got our own Declaration of Independence. It's called the whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
yeah. So look, they got the heritage, and that just goes into it. Whereas Toyota, Lexus, they will not release a vehicle unless they've tested it for 4 or 5 years, million miles plus.
Yeah,
that's. I mean, this is just oozing that type of just precision.
It's perfect to kind of wrap it around that, and as much of a specific parameter around cars, that's a good analogy, because they know what they're doing. They do it really damn well.
Yes.
And there is not, I mean, it's hard to critique it because there's not anything wrong with it.
And let's talk about the whole family.
Yeah, exactly.
Taylor, let's talk about Pappy.
Yeah.
Like, these are in the same family. We're talking about like the Kings. You know, when everyone talks about whiskey and they talk about, you know, as high as you can get and as exclusive, we're talking about the same family usually.
Yep. Very similar mash bills that are all kind of coming into that same realm, where they're all kind of talking to each other. They're all
Weller.
family.
I mean, we're talking about some big hitters in this category.
Yeah.
And some of that is obviously, you know, buying out certain companies and making it part of your family. But a lot of that is in the same, like, yes, this is from day one. We sought out to do this, and we are spreading our ability to create great whiskeys into these categories.
Can we take a trip up there and go see what they're doing? That'd be really fun.
Have to.
We have to.
I don't even think it's a choice. So stay tuned for sequel Top Shelf's
on location
whiskey trail,
whiskey,
right? The Bourbon
whiskey trail.
Is that what it's called? The Bourbon Trail.
It is called the Bourbon Trail.
The Bourbon Trail. We will go do that shit.
Ooh.
We might have to plan like a 5-day trip because there's no damn way we're doing.
And we have to have a chauffeur, because I'm not driving with that.
Private driver, hotel set up, because we're going to be real with it.
Yeah.
But that's a great piece of content. I think we definitely have to do that.
Yeah.
Family score.
Family score.
Go first. What do you think?
Buffalo Trace. You do damn good whiskey.
Yes.
If I had to talk to your ancestors of the people that started creating this special mash bill, it is beautiful. And I want to thank you for it. What I don't like is all your people in the marketing office. I hate you, because it has made this almost impossible to find. I have to literally go to the store the day the truck arrives and be there as they roll it out.
Punch Granny.
Pretty much.
You know what I'm thinking in my head? This would be a good cut. Is the what was that, Turbo Man doll?
Exactly. It's Black Friday. It's Black Friday sale kind of experience every month when they get their shipments. And maybe for B-roll sake, maybe I'll do that. I think that's actually coming up because it's the end of the month.
Yes.
It's like the 3rd or 4th Wednesday of the month kind of thing when that happens. I might have to do a little shorts kind of for Top Shelf and just show y'all, like, if you don't live in Nashville or kind of that Kentucky region, you don't know what it's like when people are like, they demand their whiskeys here. So I might have to do that a little bit later. But my score, I am going to have to do, based on the respect, the likability, and the fact that probably my favorite, it lives in this, I'm going to have to give it a 4.
A what?
I have to give it a 4.
A 4. That is a solid score.
A solid 4. I mean,
for the family? I mean, that's a
for
solid
the family.
Score, we're
that's
not talking
like
bell curve here. We're talking about, we've just tasted
exactly.
them.
All of y'all together shouldn't go any lower than 4.
Yeah.
Shouldn't go any lower than 4 in my book.
Yeah.
That's
well, I'm going to make this easy. shout out to the marketing department. You're doing great. I love the fact that you are actually, because I follow you on social, you're actually investing in content development, which whiskey brands just aren't doing. They're behind the times. So you're doing great. Shout out to your marketing department. I love the fact that sales and marketing working together to create this demand for the product before it even leaves distribution, which is beautiful.
Your bottles are sold before they ever even leave.
Yeah, it's done. It's great. It's fantastic. But I'm going to take all that marketing out of it, and I'm just going to go on the taste. I agree with Matt. You get a 4 barrel score. We don't often agree, but I will say that because I drive a Lexus, so talking about that analogy there, you do everything I want you to do as a distiller perfectly. Now,
there's obviously things that can go up because if there's more room for improvement, something can change.
Yes. Now, do I
don't know that I would want you to change anything, though.
Yeah. Do I go buy Buffalo Trace? I do not. Do I go buy Blantons? I do not. Do I buy Eagle Rare? Absolutely, and twice on Sundays. But I will say the disparity from Buffalo Trace to Eagle Rare is so minute that it just speaks volumes about what you do as a distiller. That is why you get a 4 barrel score, and I am happy to incentivize or suggest that anyone go purchase Buffalo Trace, Blantons, Eagle Rare.
Having a bad day.
Correct.
I don't think that add that to a meal, add that as a treat.
Yep.
Obviously, the exclusivity of Blantons makes it that it lives on your top shelf, where this is sequel top shelf. So, why not do the top shelf, guys?
Yep.
So
I would say for everyone, go buy the Buffalo Trace. Start with that. If you like what you're getting, then that should only tell you you're on the right track to go to the next step, which is either you take a left and you go Blantons for a little bit more of that rye, or you continue on the Buffalo path of getting into that Eagle Rare and just accentuating the smoothness, the even keel, if you will, of that flavor profile.
Because you like rares more than I do, but I still absolutely love Blantons. That will never... I don't think it'll ever fall off my chart.
It's great. It's great. But I have to, again, me going into the store for myself, I've got to take all that into account. And, like I said, there are whiskeys on Blanton's levels that I don't have to pay the premium to get into. And that's the only fault. But it does not undercut my expectations from drinking it.
Well, this has been whiskey tasting in the Buffalo family on Sequel Top Shelf, and I definitely feel like we've been living on the top shelf for this episode. So I'm very happy. I'm actually sad that this episode's now over. I know it's been long for you, and we apologize for that, but boy, we had a great time with
this is a great experience. I hope you learned a little bit about it, and go out and grab one of these bottles, guys.
Yeah,
enjoy
absolutely.
It, and let us know.
It's a good time.
Yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments, because I'd really like to know where you guys fall on this, and if you agree or disagree entirely with what we've said, because this is a very hot topic.
It is. Buffalo Trace. Go out and try it if you haven't already, if you can find it.